Before the first breath was drawn, before the first city was built, there was the water. Close your eyes now and imagine standing at the edge of the world, where the golden sand meets the infinite blue. Listen, can you hear it? The rhythmic heartbeat of the earth. Tonight, we are not just telling a story, we are embarking on a voyage across time, drifting upon the waves of history, guided by the stars and the eternal lullaby of the sea. Let the tides carry your worries away as we journey into the deep.
Close your eyes now and let the weight of the day simply dissolve into the darkness behind your eyelids, allowing your body to sink deeper into the comfort of your bed, feeling the support beneath you like the solid earth holding up the mountains. And as you settle into this stillness, imagine that you are standing at the very edge of the world, on a vast and pristine American shoreline where the land meets the infinite expanse of the sea. There's no one else here, just you and the ancient rhythm of the tides, a rhythm that has been beating against these shores since the very beginning of time, before the first cities rose, before the first maps were drawn, before the first footprints were left in the sand. There was only this water and this rock and this sky. Take a deep breath in through your nose, filling your lungs with the cool, crisp air that carries the scent of salt and brine, the perfume of the deep ocean that has traveled thousands of miles just to reach you. And as you exhale slowly, imagine the breath leaving your body is like the tide receding back into the vast blue, carrying away every tension, every worry, every thought that no longer serves you. The ocean is the keeper of all history, a liquid memory that covers our planet. And standing here on the coast, perhaps looking out over the rugged cliffs of the Pacific Northwest, where the mist clings to the towering pines, or standing on the soft white sands of the Florida Keys, where the water is clear as glass, you realize that you are part of a timeless cycle. Listen to the sound of the waves, that steady, hypnotic roar as the water gathers its strength from the deep, rising up in a crest of white foam and then crashing gently onto the sand, a sound that is both powerful and incredibly soothing, a natural lullaby that has lulled the earth to sleep for billions of years. Focus on the sound of the water retreating, the hush of the foam sliding back over the pebbles and shells, a sound like a long, soft sigh of the planet itself, telling you that it is safe to let go, it is safe to rest, it is safe to drift. Imagine looking down at your feet where the water touches the land, seeing the wet sand glistening like a mirror under the soft light of the moon or the first gray light of dawn, and realize that every grain of sand is a piece of history, a tiny fragment of ancient mountains that stood tall millions of years ago, ground down by the wind and rain and the endless motion of the sea, until they became this soft carpet beneath your toes. The shoreline is a place of transformation, where the solid becomes fluid, where the known meets the unknown. And as you walk slowly along this eternal beach in your mind, you can feel the coolness of the water washing over your feet, a gentle shock that reminds you of the present moment, grounding you, connecting you to the earth. Think of the vast Atlantic coastline, stretching from the rocky granite shores of Maine down to the warm, marshy lowlands of the Carolinas, how this single body of water connects them all, how the same wave that breaks on a jagged rock in the north eventually flows down to whisper against the dunes in the south. The ocean does not know borders, it does not know time. It only knows the pull of the moon and the spin of the earth, and you can sync your breathing to this cosmic rhythm, inhaling as the wave gathers, exhaling as it breaks and spreads across the sand. Imagine the colors of the water, not just blue,
but 1,000 shades of indigo, slate, teal, and obsidian, shifting and changing as the clouds drift overhead, blocking the starlight and then revealing it again. There is a profound silence underneath the sound of the waves, a deep, resonant stillness that exists in the heart of the ocean. And if you listen closely, you can hear that silence calling to you, inviting you to enter a state of deep, restorative rest. This is the primordial ocean, the cradle of life, the water that covered the globe long before the continents drifted apart. And when you look out at the horizon, that sharp, flat line where the sky kisses the sea, you are looking at the same view that the first explorers saw, the same view that the dinosaurs saw, the same view that the very first breathers of air saw when they emerged from the deep. There is comfort in this continuity, a feeling of being held by something much larger than yourself, something that has survived every storm, every age of ice, every shift of the tectonic plates. The rocks along the shore are smooth and rounded, polished by centuries of gentle friction, and they teach us patience. They teach us that even the hardest obstacles can be smoothed away by the gentle, persistent flow of water, just as your own thoughts can be smoothed away by the gentle flow of this story. Allow your mind to drift back through the centuries, imagining this shoreline as it was 1,000 years ago, purely wild, untouched by human hands, where the only sounds were the cries of the seabirds and the barking of seals, where the driftwood piled up on the beach like the bones of ancient leviathans, bleached white by the sun. You are walking through this history, a silent observer, a ghost of the present visiting the past, and every step you take sinks slightly into the wet sand, leaving a momentary impression that the next wave will wash away, reminding you that nothing needs to be held on to, everything can be released. The air here is rich with negative ions, charged particles that cleanse the spirit and heavy the eyelids, making them feel weighed down by a delicious drowsiness, a desire to simply lie down on the dry, warm sand above the high tide line and close your eyes. Imagine the warmth of the sun-baked sand radiating up into your back, loosening the muscles of your spine, your shoulders, your neck, while the sound of the ocean acts as a shield, blocking out the noise of the modern world, creating a sanctuary of sound where only peace can enter. The sea is a master of patience. It never hurries, it never rushes, it simply is. And tonight, you are inviting that same quality of patience into your own soul, allowing yourself to be exactly where you are without needing to be anywhere else or do anything else. The eternal shoreline is not just a place on a map, it is a place within you, a borderland between waking and sleeping. And as you stand there, watching the waves roll in, one after another in an endless, unbreakable chain, you begin to feel your own consciousness rolling with them, rising and falling, drifting and floating. Visualize the deep, cold currents moving slowly beneath the surface, the vast rivers of water that circulate around the globe, regulating the climate, carrying heat and life, a complex and beautiful system that works perfectly without any effort from you, just as your own body knows how to breathe and how to sleep without you needing to command it. Trust in this natural intelligence. Trust in the wisdom of the water. As the light begins to fade in your visualization, turning the sky into a canvas of violet and deep purple, the water turns darker, more mysterious, more comforting, a velvet blanket of darkness that wraps around the world. And you feel safe in this darkness, for it is the same darkness that held you before you were born, a darkness of potential and rest. The sound of the waves seems to deepen, becoming a slow, rhythmic thrumming that vibrates in your chest, slowing your heart rate, syncing your pulse with the heartbeat of the world. You are standing on the edge of the great American continent, looking west toward the vast Pacific or east toward the turbulent Atlantic, and you realize that the ocean is the ultimate lullaby, a song that never ends, a story that is always being told. Let the smell of the salt air clear your mind. Let the dampness of the mist cool your forehead. Let the vastness of the horizon expand your perspective until your problems seem small and insignificant against the backdrop of eternity. The rocks that line the shore have stood guard here for eons, silent sentinels watching the passage of time, and they offer you their strength, their stability, their grounding energy. You are as solid as the rock and as fluid as the water, a perfect balance of earth and sea. And as you continue to breathe in deeply and exhale completely, you feel yourself slipping further and further into a state of profound relaxation. The boundary between the sand and the water blurs. The boundary between the air and the ocean blurs. And the boundary between your waking self and your sleeping self begins to dissolve. There is only the rhythm now, in and out, rise and fall. The eternal shoreline is waiting for you, a place where time stands still, where the past and the future merge into a single peaceful moment of now. Let the waves wash over your feet, warm and gentle, pulling you softly toward the realm of dreams, pulling you away from the shore of wakefulness and out into the deep, calm waters of sleep. The stars are beginning to appear above the water, reflecting on the shifting surface like diamonds scattered on black silk, and each star is a guide, a beacon leading you deeper into the night. You are safe here. You are home here. The ocean has been waiting for you, singing its song just for you, a song of 13,000 words, a song of 13,000 years, a song that says rest, rest, rest. The sand beneath you is soft, conforming to the shape of your body, cradling you, holding you, while the great ocean stands guard, a powerful, benevolent force that protects your slumber. Listen to the final whisper of the wave as it touches the shore, the sound of the water sinking into the sand, the sound of silence returning, the sound of peace. This is the eternal shoreline, and here time begins, and here your journey into sleep begins, drifting, floating, sinking, sleeping. As the echoes of the shoreline fade behind you, and the scent of the wet sand becomes a distant memory, your spirit begins to drift outward past the breaking waves, past the shallows, moving steadily toward that mysterious line where the sky meets the sea. Before there were maps to guide us, before there were compasses made of brass and glass, there was only the horizon and the human heart filled with a quiet, burning wonder. Imagine now that you are traveling back through the mists of time, thousands of years into the past, to a moment when the world was vast and silent, and the ocean was the greatest mystery of all. You are standing on the edge of a jagged cliff, perhaps on the rugged coast of ancient California, or looking out from the volcanic rock of a Polynesian island, watching the sun dip low, casting a bridge of shimmering gold across the water. It was here that the first voyagers stood, the ancestors of adventure, looking out at the endless blue and seeing not a barrier, but a pathway, a road that led to the stars. Close your eyes and feel the courage it took to push off from the safety of the land, to trust a vessel made of wood and rope to the embrace of the infinite deep. Visualize a great double-hulled canoe, carved from the trunks of massive koa trees, the wood smooth and warm to the touch, smelling of sap and earth, floating buoyant and proud upon the turquoise water. You step aboard this vessel, feeling the gentle sway as it accepts your weight, a rocking motion that is instantly familiar, like being cradled in the arms of a mother. There is no engine noise here, no hum of machinery, only the creak of the timber and the snap of the woven pandanus sails catching the trade winds. The journey begins not with a roar, but with a whisper, the sound of the bow slicing through the water, creating a soft, rhythmic hiss that quiets the mind. As the land grows smaller behind you, shrinking until it is nothing more than a green smudge against the sky, and then vanishing altogether, you realize that you are now part of a water world, a place where the rules of the earth no longer apply. The first voyagers were masters of observation, and as you sail with them in your imagination, you learn to see the world through their eyes, eyes that were sharp and patient. They did not fight the ocean, they moved with it, understanding that the sea is a living entity with its own breath and its own pulse. Feel the rise and fall of the swell beneath the hull, a long, slow undulation that travels thousands of miles across the Pacific, lifting the canoe up toward the heavens and then lowering it gently back down, a motion that mimics the rhythm of deep sleep. Up and down, rise and fall, a hypnotic dance that relaxes every muscle in your body, from the soles of your feet to the crown of your head. These ancient navigators knew the secrets of the sea. They could read the water like a book. Imagine looking over the side of the canoe, watching the color of the water shift from the pale green of the shallows to a deep, intense indigo, a blue so dark and pure it looks like ink. They watched the flight of the seabirds, the white terns and the noddies, knowing that these birds were messengers from the land,
guiding them toward islands that lay hidden beyond the curve of the earth. They felt the temperature of the water, trailing a hand in the cool liquid to detect the currents that flowed from the icy north or the warm south. You are safe here, surrounded by their wisdom, guided by their knowledge that has been passed down through generations in songs and chants. As the day turns into evening on this vast ocean, the sky transforms into a canvas of impossible beauty, streaks of violet, orange, and crimson bleeding into the blue, and the wind softens, becoming a gentle caress against your skin. The ocean calms at twilight, the whitecaps disappearing, leaving the surface smooth and oily, reflecting the dying light like a dark mirror. This is the time of the shadows on the horizon, when the boundary between the sea and the sky dissolves into a haze of purple-gray. It is a time of profound peace, where the only sound is the water lapping against the wood, a sound that says, hush, hush, hush. And then the stars appear. For the first voyagers, the night sky was not just a ceiling, it was a map, a celestial chart drawn by the gods to lead them home. Imagine lying back on the deck of the canoe, looking up at a sky so clear and bright it takes your breath away. There is no light pollution here, only the brilliance of the Milky Way stretching across the heavens like a river of milk, a reflection of the ocean below. You can see the Southern Cross, the North Star, the great constellation of Orion the Hunter, all burning with a steady, comforting light. The navigators knew the stars by name. They knew where they rose and where they set, and they steered their ships by aligning the rigging with these points of light. You are drifting under this dome of stars, feeling small but connected to everything, realizing that the ocean is the tissue that connects the continents, the blood that flows between the lands. The isolation you feel is not lonely, it is liberating. There are no demands here, no schedules, no noises of the city. There is only the wind, the water,
and the stars. You feel a sense of kinship with these early explorers, understanding that their journey was not just a physical one, but a spiritual one, a surrender to the power of nature. They trusted the sea to carry them, just as you are trusting your bed to hold you, just as you are trusting this story to guide you into sleep. The hours of the night pass in a blur of gentle motion, the canoe drifting effortlessly over the currents. Sometimes bioluminescence lights up the water around the hull, tiny creatures glowing with a cold, green fire, making it look as if you are sailing through a sea of stars, creating a universe above and a universe below. You are suspended in the center of this wonder, weightless and free. The breathing of the crew is slow and steady, matching the rhythm of the waves, and you join them in this collective rest, knowing that someone is always watching the horizon, keeping the vigil so you can sleep. The ocean is a cradle for humanity, and in these early days, we were like children learning to walk, taking our first tentative steps into the great unknown. But the unknown is not scary. It is simply a place where dreams are born.
As you drift deeper into the night, you can almost hear the ancient chants of the voyagers, low and rhythmic, humming in harmony with the wind in the sails. They sing of the great fish, the whales that swim alongside the canoe, giants of the deep that act as guardians. They sing of the islands waiting to be found, emerald jewels set in a ring of coral. The history of the ocean is a history of connection. It was the ocean that brought people together, that allowed cultures to mix and share, that carried the seeds of life from one shore to another. Even now, thousands of years later, when you look out at the sea from an American beach, you are looking at the same water that carried those first canoes. The molecules of water that touch the coast of California today may have once lapped against the shores of Tahiti or New Zealand, carried by the great circulating currents of the Pacific. It is all one ocean. It is all one story, and you are part of it. Allow this thought to comfort you, the thought that you are never truly alone, that you are connected to the past and to the rest of the world by this vast blue embrace. The canoe rocks gently, left to right, a pendulum of peace. The wood creaks softly, a sound of natural settling. The air is cool and fresh, filling your lungs with the purest oxygen. You are a voyager of the night now, sailing toward the island of sleep. The horizon is no longer a line to be crossed, but a destination to be reached in your dreams. Let the shadows on the horizon welcome you. Let the darkness wrap around you like a warm cloak. The fears of the land are far behind you, left on the shore where they belong. Out here, there is only the simplicity of survival, the simplicity of being. The first voyagers knew that the ocean gives what we need, if we only respect it. It gives food, it gives passage, and most of all, it gives peace. Feel the salt spray misting lightly on your face, cooling your brow. Feel the heaviness in your limbs as the relaxation takes hold. You are drifting, sailing, floating. The stars are watching over you. The sea is holding you up. The wind is whispering your name. There is nothing left to do but to let go and let the current take you. The horizon is near. The destination is sleep. Drifting, drifting, drifting into the deep blue history of the world.
The sun has finally dipped below the western edge of the world, extinguishing the fire of the day and leaving behind a cooling silence that settles over the ocean like a heavy velvet cloak. And as the last vestiges of twilight fade into the deep indigo of true night, you find yourself standing on the quarterdeck of a great wooden ship, the salt-worn planks solid beneath your feet. There is a profound transformation that happens at sea when the light leaves. The horizon, which was once a sharp line dividing earth from sky, now dissolves into a blur of shadows, merging the water with the heavens until you are floating in the center of a vast obsidian sphere. It is in this darkness that the true magic of navigation begins, for when the world of man disappears, the world of the cosmos reveals itself in all its terrifying beauty. Raise your eyes now, slowly, lifting your gaze from the dark, rolling water up to the canopy above, and witness the awakening of the celestial map, the ancient chart that has guided sailors since the first log was hollowed out and pushed into the stream. One by one, the stars puncture the darkness. First, the bright wanderers like Venus and Jupiter, hanging low and heavy like lanterns, and then the true stars, thousands upon thousands of them, dusting the sky with diamond light, a sprawling tapestry of history and mythology written in cold fire. You are the navigator now, the silent guardian of the ship, and your hands rest gently on the smooth, polished wood of the ship's wheel, feeling the subtle vibrations of the rudder moving through the water below. There is a specific kind of solitude here on the night watch, a solitude that is not lonely, but incredibly full, a feeling of being the only conscious soul in a universe of sleeping giants. The rest of the crew is below decks, swaying in their hammocks, trusting you, trusting your eyes, trusting your ability to read the language of the night. To the uninitiated, the sky is a chaotic scatter of light, but to you it is a familiar face, a grid of logic and precision. Look to the north, high above the mast, and find the 7 bright stars of the Great Bear, the Big Dipper, the ladle that dips into the darkness, and follow the line of the 2 outer stars. Trace that invisible path across the blackness until your eye rests upon it, the most important star in the northern hemisphere, Polaris, the North Star. It is not the brightest star in the sky, but it is the most faithful, the anchor of the heavens, the one point of light that never moves, never wavers, holding its position while the rest of the universe spins in a dizzying dance around it. Fix your gaze on Polaris and feel a sense of profound stability wash over you. For as long as that star is visible, you know exactly where you are and where you are going. It is the sailor's constant companion, a lighthouse that needs no oil, a beacon that has guided Vikings across the freezing North Atlantic, that has led the Pilgrims to the rocky shores of Massachusetts, that has watched over whalers and merchants and dreamers for millennia. Breathe in the cold, clean air of the night, air that has never touched land, air that is pure and crisp, and let it clear your mind of all cluttered thoughts, leaving only the simplicity of the course.
You are steering by starlight alone, a practice that requires a quiet mind and a steady hand. In the age before GPS, before glowing screens and satellites, this was the only way, a connection between the human eye and the distant suns. You can imagine the early navigators holding up a cross staff or a quadrant, measuring the angle between the horizon and the star, a delicate geometry performed on a moving platform. The ship rocks gently beneath you, a slow, rhythmic cradle motion, listing to port, then rolling back to starboard, and you adjust your balance instinctively, your body flowing with the vessel. The creaking of the rigging is the only sound, the ropes stretching and relaxing, the canvas sails above you filled with the steady breath of the wind, glowing ghost white in the starlight. You look away from the North Star and scan the rest of the heavens, seeing the great W of Cassiopeia, the queen on her throne, seeing the 3 stars of Orion's belt rising in the east, the hunters striding across the winter sky. Each constellation is a friend, a story, a memory. There is a comfort in knowing that these same stars are shining down on your home, shining down on the people you love who are sleeping in their beds on land,
connecting you to them across the miles of dark water. The ocean reflects the sky, catching the glitter of the brighter stars in the troughs of the waves, so that for a moment you cannot tell if you are sailing on water or sailing through space, drifting through a galaxy of bioluminescence and starlight. The silence of the open ocean at night is heavy and thick, a silence that wraps around you like a blanket, dampening the noise of your own internal monologue. There is no need to worry about the future, no need to regret the past. There is only this moment, this breath, this star. The sheer scale of the sky puts everything into perspective, making your troubles seem small, insignificant specks of dust against the grandeur of the Milky Way, that cloudy river of light that stretches from horizon to horizon. You feel a deep sense of humility, but also a deep sense of belonging, for you are made of the same stuff as those stars, the same carbon and oxygen. You are a child of the universe, standing on a small wooden ship in the middle of a great ocean. The rhythm of the ship cutting through the waves becomes a metronome for your heart, slowing it down, soothing it. Swish, splash, swish, splash. The water parts for you, respecting your course. You check the compass in the binnacle, the faint glow of the lamp illuminating the floating card, confirming what the stars have already told you. You are true. You are on course. There is a deep satisfaction in this, a feeling of capability and calm. The wind brushes against your cheek, cool and damp, carrying the message of vast distances. You are traversing the map of the stars, following invisible lines drawn by ancestors long gone. Think of the Polynesian wayfinders who memorized the rising points of 100 stars to cross the Pacific. Think of the European sailors who braved the Atlantic with nothing but a sextant and hope. You are part of that lineage now. The night deepens, the air grows colder, prompting you to pull your coat tighter around you, a cozy feeling of warmth amidst the chill.
The repetition of the waves, the steady gaze of the North Star, the gentle creaking of the wood, it all combines into a hypnotic symphony that lulls the conscious mind. Your eyelids feel heavy, not with exhaustion, but with a peaceful surrender. You are safe here. The ship is sturdy, the stars are true, and the ocean is calm. You can trust the night. You can trust the darkness. It is not a void, but a canvas. As the hours pass, the stars slowly rotate around the celestial pole, a grand slow-motion clock that marks the passage of time without ticking, a clock that moves at the speed of the universe. You are witnessing the mechanics of the cosmos, the great turning of the world. And even though you are steering the ship, you feel as though you are being carried by forces much larger than yourself, carried by the wind, carried by the current, carried by the rotation of the earth. The tension in your shoulders releases, dropping down. Your grip on the wheel softens, becoming a gentle touch rather than a hold. You are one with the ship, one with the sea, one with the sky. The map of the stars is etched into your mind now, a comforting pattern of order in the chaos of nature. You know that dawn will come, painting the sky in pinks and golds, but for now you cherish the night, you cherish the quiet, you cherish the beauty of the dark. The shadows on the deck lengthen and shift as the moon begins to rise, a crescent of silver climbing out of the sea, adding its own light to the spectacle, turning the black water into a shimmering path of mercury. You follow that path with your eyes, letting it lead you further into relaxation, further into the dream. The solitude of the helmsman is a gift, a time to be fully present, fully alive, yet fully at rest. There is no one to talk to, no one to impress, just the silent communion with the infinite.
And as you gaze up one last time at the sprawling glory of the heavens, at the diamond dust scattered across the void, you feel a heavy, sweet wave of sleepiness rolling over you, like a soft fog rolling in from the banks. The stars are blinking slowly, mimicking the blinking of your own eyes. The North Star watches over you, a guardian angel of light. The ocean rocks you, a cradle of water. The wind sings to you, a lullaby of air. You are the navigator, and you have found your way. You have found the way to peace. You have found the way to stillness. You have found the way to the deep, dreamless ocean of sleep. The map is clear. The course is set. All is well. All is calm. All is silent under the watchful eyes of the stars.
The night has passed and the stars have faded into the soft blue light of morning, and as the sun begins to climb higher into the sky, heating the air and warming your skin, we find ourselves entering a new era, the majestic and golden age of sail. Imagine that you are no longer just an observer, but a passenger upon one of the great tall ships of history, a magnificent vessel constructed from the finest oak and pine, a floating cathedral of wood and canvas designed to harness the invisible power of the wind. There's a sense of grandeur here, a feeling of awe as you stand on the wide, sun-bleached deck and look up towards the heavens, seeing the towering masts that scrape the sky, rising like the trunks of ancient trees from which they were hewn. But it is not the wood that captures your breath, it is the sails, the endless acres of white canvas unfurled and catching the breeze, billowing out like great white clouds tethered to the earth. Listen to the sound of the ship, for it is a living thing with a voice of its own, a deep resonant creaking that comes from the very heart of the hull, the sound of timber settling against timber, a rhythmic groan that is not a sign of weakness but of strength, the ship adjusting its body to the movement of the sea. Creak and sigh, creak and sigh, a sound that has lulled sailors to sleep for centuries, a sound that speaks of safety and endurance. We are crossing the vast Atlantic Ocean now, leaving the old world behind and setting our course for the new, following the invisible highways of the trade winds that blow steadily from the east, pushing us gently but firmly toward the horizon. There is no engine, no vibration of machinery, no smell of diesel. There is only the purity of the elements, the wind, the water, and the wood. The ship moves with a grace that seems impossible for something so large. It does not fight the waves, but dances with them, heeling over slightly to one side as the wind fills the sails, creating a steady, comfortable angle that cradles you as you walk along the deck. You can feel the power of the wind, not as a gusty or violent force, but as a constant heavy pressure, a giant hand pushing the ship forward, mile after mile, day after day. The sound of the wind moving through the complex web of rigging, the thousands of feet of hemp rope that hold the masts in place, is like a soft, high-pitched song, a whistling melody that changes pitch with the breeze, harmonizing with the lower bass notes of the creaking wood and the washing water. Look out over the rail and see the bow wave, the foam curling away from the ship's nose in a perfect white mustache, the water hissing as it is sliced apart and then stitching itself back together in the wake behind you. The wake stretches out like a long turquoise road, the only evidence of your passing in this immense wilderness of blue. The Atlantic is calm today. The swells are long and lazy, rolling under the keel with a slow, hypnotic rhythm that lifts the ship up toward the sun and then lowers it gently down into the trough, a motion so repetitive and soothing that it acts like a powerful sedative on the nervous system, up and down, over and through.
You find a comfortable spot to sit on a coil of warm rope, leaning your back against the smooth, varnished bulwark, and you simply watch the show of the sails. There are the great square sails on the mainmast,
the courses and the topsails, and the triangular jibs at the front, all working together in perfect symphony to capture every breath of air. The sunlight shines through the canvas, making the sails glow with a warm, creamy light, translucent and beautiful, and you can see the shadows of the ropes dancing on the cloth as the ship sways. This is slow travel, a journey where time is measured not in hours, but in the changing angle of the sun and the ringing of the ship's bell. There is no rush here, nowhere to be but exactly where you are, suspended between two continents, held in the palm of the ocean. You can imagine the sailors moving quietly about their duties, barefoot on the smooth deck, their movements efficient and practiced, respecting the silence of the sea. They know that the wind is a gift, and they treat it with reverence, trimming the sheets with gentle hands to keep the sails full and drawing. The air is filled with the scent of par and oakum, the smell of the sun baking the wood, and the ever-present sharpness of the salt spray, a combination that is clean and grounding. As you sit there, rocking with the ship, you begin to understand why men went to sea, not just for trade or adventure, but for this peace, this simplification of life, where the only things that matter are the wind and the water. The horizon is a perfect circle around you, an unbroken ring of blue that emphasizes the vastness of the world and the smallness of your worries. Let your mind wander across the Atlantic, imagining the thousands of ships that have made this crossing, the packets and the clippers, the whalers and the schooners, all driven by the same wind that is touching your face right now. You are part of a long tradition of voyagers who found solace in the solitude of the open ocean. The motion of the ship is deeper now, a slow roll that engages your inner ear and signals your brain to slow down, to enter a trance state. It is the same motion as a mother rocking a cradle, a biological signal of safety and love. The creaking of the wood becomes a mantra, a repetitive sound that blocks out intrusive thoughts. Listen closely. The wood is telling a story of resilience, of trees that grew in deep forests, soaking up the rain and the sun, now transformed into a vessel that rides the waves. The white sails above you are like the wings of a giant bird, gliding effortlessly over the surface of the planet. Sometimes, a school of flying fish breaks the surface, skittering across the water like silver darts, fleeing the shadow of the hull, or a pod of dolphins comes to play at the bow, weaving in and out of the water with joyous energy. But mostly, it is just the deep blue emptiness, calm and serene. The sun is warm on your eyelids as you close them for a moment, letting the other senses take over. You feel the vibration of the ship through your spine, a low hum of energy.
You hear the snap of a sail as it flutters momentarily and then fills again with a soft thwump. You taste the salt on your lips. This is the age of sail, a time when humanity moved at the speed of nature, when we were forced to wait, forced to be patient, and in that patience we found peace. The ship is a world unto itself, a self-contained island of wood and canvas, drifting through the cosmos of the sea. As the afternoon wears on, the light begins to change, turning the white sails to gold and then to a soft, dusty rose as the sun lowers toward the west, leading you on. The wind often softens in the evening, and the ship slows down, gliding with a gentle, ghostly silence that is incredibly eerie and beautiful. The creaking of the wood slows as the strain on the masts decreases, becoming intermittent and sleepy. The water turns a darker shade of blue, foreshadowing the return of the comforting night. You feel a heavy, delicious fatigue settling into your bones, the kind of tiredness that comes from fresh air and sunshine and the rhythmic motion of the sea. You are safe aboard this great tall ship, this masterpiece of human ingenuity, protected by the stout timbers and the skill of the crew.
The Atlantic cradles you, the wind guides you, and the sails watch over you like guardian angels. There is nothing to do but surrender to the voyage, to let the ship carry you toward your destination while you rest. The age of sail was an age of dreams, and now you are sailing into your own dreams, carried by the white wings of the ship. The motion is so steady, so predictable. Lift and settle, lift and settle. You are one with the rhythm of the ocean, one with the flow of history. The creaking wood whispers to you, telling you to let go, to release the tension, to sink into the deck, to sink into the deep relaxation that awaits you. The canvas holds the wind, and the night holds the ship, and sleep holds you. Drifting across the vast Atlantic, under a canopy of white sails, you are at peace. The journey continues, mile after slow mile, rocking, soothing, sailing into the sunset of your mind, where the waters are always calm and the wind is always fair.
The vastness of the open ocean slowly begins to recede from your mind as we approach the edge of the continent, moving from the fluid, shifting world of the deep water to the solid, unyielding strength of the coast, specifically the rugged and dramatic shoreline of the Pacific Northwest, or perhaps the granite-lined edges of New England, where the land meets the sea in a dramatic embrace of rock and spray. It is night now, a night that is deeper and darker than the one out at sea, because here the elements gather with a quiet intensity, and a thick, soft blanket of fog has rolled in from the cold water, swallowing the world in a haze of gray and white. Imagine standing on a high cliff, the ground beneath your feet carpeted with soft needles from the towering spruce and pine trees that line the shore, their scent mixing with the salt air to create a perfume that is crisp, clean, and grounding. You are wrapped in a warm wool coat, feeling completely safe and insulated from the chill, watching the world disappear into the mist. In this muffled silence, where even the sound of the waves crashing against the jagged rocks below is softened to a distant rhythmic hush, there stands a structure of immense comfort and history, the lighthouse. It rises from the headland like a giant of white stone, a solitary finger pointing towards the heavens, its base anchored deep into the ancient bedrock that has withstood the pounding of the surf for millions of years. This is the sentinel of the night, the silent guardian that never sleeps, the watcher that stands between the safety of the land and the mystery of the sea. As you look up at the tower, disappearing into the fog above, you see the great lantern room, the glass panes wet with mist, and within that room lives the heart of the lighthouse, the great Fresnel lens, a masterpiece of glass and brass that captures the light and sends it out into the darkness. Watch the light now, and let your breathing sink with its slow, steady rotation, a rhythm that has not changed in 100 years. First, there is darkness, a heavy velvet pause, and then the beam sweeps across the sky. A long, solid cone of warm amber light cuts through the fog, illuminating the swirling mists like a tangible object, turning the water droplets into millions of tiny floating diamonds. It sweeps past you, touching the tops of the trees, touching the dark water, and then it is gone, returning you to the comfort of the shadow. Wait for it, breathe in, and there it is again. The beam returns. Flash, sweep, darkness. This is the heartbeat of the coast, a pulse of light that says you are safe, you are known, you are guided. There is something incredibly soothing about the predictability of the lighthouse. It does not hurry, it does not falter, it simply turns round and round.
A mechanical meditation that calms the chaotic mind. Imagine the gears inside the lens, well-oiled and silent, moving the heavy glass prisms with effortless grace, floating on a bed of mercury, or turning on precise ball bearings, a machine dedicated solely to the purpose of protection. The light is a symbol of hope in the gray void, a reminder that even when we cannot see the path ahead, there is something watching over us, something that knows the way. The fog around you is thick and cool, pressing against your cheeks like a soft, wet cloth, isolating you from the rest of the world, creating a private cocoon where only you and the light exist. You can hear the low, mournful sound of the foghorn in the distance, a deep, resonant bass note that vibrates in your chest. Boom. A sound that might seem lonely to some, but to you, tonight, it sounds like a lullaby, a heavy, grounding noise that vibrates with the earth itself. It calls out to the ships lost in the whiteout, telling them to keep their distance, telling them where the danger lies, a voice of benevolent warning. You are safe on the shore, watching this dance of light and sound. The rugged coast of Oregon, with its sea stacks rising like black shadows from the surf, or the rocky points of Maine are hidden now, leaving only the imagination to paint the scenery. And this lack of visual detail allows your brain to rest, to stop processing, to simply be. You can imagine the lighthouse keeper of old, a solitary figure climbing the spiral staircase inside the tower, the sound of his boots echoing on the iron steps, climbing up to trim the wick or polish the glass, a life of quiet dedication and solitude. There is a romance in this solitude, a freedom from the demands of society. Up here on the windswept point, there is no noise of traffic, no chatter of voices, only the elemental conversation between the wind, the water, and the stone. The light sweeps over you again, bathing you in a momentary glow of safety. You feel the warmth of it even through the fog, a psychological warmth that settles into your solar plexus. The beam stretches out for miles, touching the hull of a distant ship, giving the sailors on board a moment of relief, a fix on their location, before sweeping on. You are connected to those sailors through this light, connected to the history of every person who has ever looked for a beacon in the dark. The rotation is slow, deliberate, hypnotic. Round and round it goes. 1, 2, 3, flash. 1, 2, 3, flash. Your eyelids are growing heavy, mimicking the shuddering of the light. You feel a desire to retreat from the cliff's edge, to walk up the narrow gravel path to the keeper's cottage that sits nearby, a small white house with a slate roof, glowing with the golden light of a fire inside. Imagine entering this cottage, closing the heavy wooden door behind you, shutting out the damp and the cold, and being enveloped in a cozy, dry warmth.
The sound of the ocean is muffled now, a distant murmur. You settle into a large, overstuffed armchair by the window, wrapping a quilt around your legs. Through the glass of the window, you can still see the beam of the lighthouse cutting through the night outside. It sweeps past the window at regular intervals, a rhythmic flash that illuminates the room for a split second and then leaves it in shadowing comfort. This rhythm becomes the metronome for your sleep. You watch the light, knowing that it will never stop, knowing that it will keep its vigil all night long so that you don't have to. You can let go of your own vigilance. You can let go of the need to watch out for danger because the lighthouse is doing it for you. The structure is built to withstand the fiercest storms, the highest waves, the strongest winds, and that strength is here for you to borrow. The walls of the cottage are thick, the fire is warm, and the light is constant. The jagged rocks outside, the cold churning water, the swirling fog, they are all part of the beauty of the wild, but you are sheltered from them. You are in the harbor of peace. The repetition of the beam, light, dark, begins to blur in your vision as your eyes close completely. You can still see the afterimage of the light in your mind's eye, a soft, pulsing glow that leads you down into the subconscious. The lighthouse is a symbol of the self that is always aware, the part of you that is untouched by the storms of emotion, the observer that simply watches and guides. Connect with that inner lighthouse now. Feel your own inner light, warm and steady, rotating gently, casting a beam of awareness through the fog of your dreams. The sensation of the coast, the smell of the wet stones, the cry of a lone seagull, the taste of the mist fades away, leaving only the feeling of being protected. The sentinel of the night stands guard. It stands tall against the sky, a pillar of white in a world of gray. It asks for nothing. It needs nothing. It only gives. It gives light. It gives direction. It gives hope. And as you drift deeper into the velvet darkness of sleep, you know that the light will still be turning, sweeping the horizon, keeping the ships safe, keeping the coast safe, keeping you safe. The heavy glass lens turns, the brass gears hum, the light shines. Safety, solitude, sleep. The beam cuts the fog, clearing a path for your dreams. You are floating on that beam of light, weightless and free, drifting away from the shore, drifting into the soft, silent, comforting night. The lighthouse watches, the lighthouse turns, and you sleep. The beam of the lighthouse has long since vanished behind the curve of the earth, and the rugged coastline has melted away into the memory of the mist, leaving you suspended in the very heart of the world, floating upon the vast and majestic bosom of the Atlantic Ocean. We have entered the era of the Great Passage, the 19th century, a time when the ocean was not just a body of water, but a bridge of dreams connecting the old world to the new. A liquid highway traveled by millions of souls looking toward the western horizon with hearts full of hope. Imagine yourself now aboard one of these great vessels, perhaps a transition ship with tall masts reaching for the sky and a steady steam engine humming deep within its belly, a rhythmic vibration that travels up through the floorboards and into your feet, a constant, comforting reminder of progress and power. You are leaning against the railing on the promenade deck, wrapped in a heavy wool blanket that shields you from the fresh, cool breeze, looking out at a scene of absolute purity. For here in the middle of the Atlantic, the world is composed of only two elements, the infinite dome of the sky and the endless expanse of the blue water. This is the Great Pond, as they called it, a place where time seems to stretch out and slow down, where the frantic pace of life on land is replaced by the slow, rolling metronome of the swells. The water here is a different color than the water near the shore. It is a deep, rich sapphire, a blue so intense and profound that it seems to hold the secrets of the universe. And as you watch the white foam created by the ship's hull peeling away and dissolving into this blue, you feel a sense of hypnotic peace washing over you. The journey to America was a long one in these days, spanning weeks of open water. And in that duration, a comforting routine emerged, a daily rhythm that lulled the passengers into a state of quiet acceptance and relaxation. The sun rises behind you, climbing out of the wake that points back toward Europe, warming your back, and it sets ahead of you, painting the path toward America in shades of gold and violet, leading you onward. Each day is a mirror of the one before, and there is a profound relief in this predictability, a freedom from having to make decisions, a freedom to simply exist and be carried. You are a passenger in the truest sense of the word,
surrendering control to the captain, to the ship, and to the sea. Imagine the sounds that surround you, the creaking of the wood as the ship rolls gently to port and then to starboard, the snap of the canvas sails high above, capturing the wind to aid the engines.
The low murmur of conversations in a dozen different languages drifting along the deck. Families are gathered in small groups, sharing stories of the homes they left behind and whispering about the land of promise that awaits them, their voices low and hopeful, weaving a tapestry of shared dreams that wraps around the ship like a protective aura. There is no urgency here, only the steady forward motion, mile after mile, league after league. You can see children playing quietly near the lifeboats, their laughter carried away by the wind, and elderly men smoking pipes, the smoke swirling and vanishing into the clean salt air. The Atlantic is not a barrier, it is a cradle, rocking you, soothing you, holding you in a space between the past and the future. You feel the salt spray misting on your face, refreshing and revitalizing, tasting of the deep ocean. The air is cleaner than any air you have ever breathed, scrubbed by thousands of miles of open water, filling your lungs with pure oxygen that makes your eyelids feel heavy and relaxed. Life at sea is a life stripped down to the essentials, a life of watching the water, watching the clouds, watching the light change on the surface of the swells. Sometimes the ocean is like glass, a flat mirror reflecting the clouds so perfectly that you cannot tell where the sea ends and the sky begins, and the ship seems to be flying through a dream. Other times, the waves are like rolling hills of blue glass, lifting the ship up and setting it down with a gentle grace that defies the size of the vessel. You find a wooden deck chair, worn smooth by the salt and the sun, and you settle into it, extending your legs, letting the tension drain out of your muscles. The vibration of the engine is a white noise that blocks out all other thoughts, a deep thrum, thrum, thrum that resonates in your chest and slows your heartbeat. You are part of a grand migration, a river of humanity flowing west. But here on the deck, you feel a solitary peace, a private connection with the grandeur of nature. The problems of the land seem very far away, diminished by the sheer scale of the horizon. You look out and see nothing but the line where the sky kisses the sea, a perfect circle of 360 degrees, and you realize that you are the center of this circle, the observer of this magnificent solitude. The routine of the ship anchors you, the ringing of the bell marking the watches, the smell of baking bread drifting from the galley.
The gathering on deck to watch the sunset. This passage is a time of transition, a chrysalis phase where you are shedding the old life and preparing for the new. And like a butterfly in a cocoon, you are safe, enclosed, and resting. The concept of waiting loses its frustration here and becomes a state of meditation. You are waiting for the first sight of the Statue of Liberty, waiting for the harbor of New York, but there is no rush, for the journey itself is beautiful. The hope that permeates the ship is palpable. It is a warm, glowing energy that counters the cold of the ocean. It is the hope of a new beginning, of a fresh start, and that optimism settles into your spirit, quieting your anxieties. You are sailing toward the sun. You are sailing toward a dream, and the Atlantic, the great Mother Ocean, is carrying you there with a strength that is ancient and undeniable. As the afternoon wears on, the light softens, turning the waves into ridges of molten silver, and the temperature drops slightly, inviting you to pull your blanket tighter, creating a warm nest against the cool air. The shadows of the masts lengthen across the deck, swinging back and forth with the roll of the ship, like the pendulum of a giant clock that is counting down the moments to sleep. The wake of the ship stretches out behind you, a long, churning white path that marks your progress, a
a temporary scar on the ocean that heals itself within minutes, leaving no trace. This reminds you that you do not need to leave a mark. You do not need to strive. You only need to be. The ocean accepts you. The ship carries you. As evening approaches, the sky turns into a blaze of orange and pink, a dramatic curtain falling on the day, and the first stars begin to prick through the twilight. The same stars that guided the ancient mariners, now guiding this great steamer of hope. The passengers begin to retreat to their cabins, their voices fading, leaving the deck to the wind and the watchmen. You decide to stay for a moment longer, alone with the night. The hum of the engine seems louder now in the quiet of the evening, a lullaby of industry and iron. The water turns black, heavy and mysterious, but you are not afraid, for the ship is a world of light and warmth floating in the void. You can see the glow of the portholes reflecting on the dark water, dancing yellow circles that travel with you. You feel a profound sense of gratitude for this vessel, for this passage, for this time of rest. You are suspended in the great Atlantic void, safe and secure. The motion of the ship becomes even more comforting as you lie down in your mind, visualizing a narrow bunk with crisp white sheets, the gentle rocking motion swaddling you, rolling you slightly to the left, then to the right, a motion that your body remembers from infancy. The sound of the water rushing past the hull is just on the other side of the wall, a constant shh sound that washes away every thought, every worry. This is the journey of hope, but tonight the only destination is sleep. Tonight, you do not need to be an immigrant. You do not need to be a pioneer. You only need to be a sleeper. The vast distance between the continents is a buffer zone, a protective space where the world cannot touch you. You are in the middle of nowhere, which is exactly where you need to be to find peace. The Atlantic Passage is a long, slow exhale of history, and you are breathing with it, in and out. The ship rises and falls. The engine hums and soothes. You are drifting across the miles, drifting across the time zones, drifting toward a new dawn that is still days away, leaving you with nothing but this long, dark, peaceful night to enjoy. The hope of America is a warm light in your heart, but the peace of the ocean is a heavy blanket on your eyes. Sleep now, traveler. The ocean is wide, the ship is strong, and the course is true. You are held in the gentle grip of the great Atlantic, floating toward your dreams, but anchored in the deep, restful stillness of the present moment.
The ship has traveled far, crossing the lines of latitude, moving from the cool northern waters into the warm embrace of the tropics. And as we approach the equator, a profound change begins to take over the world, a change not of action, but of cessation. We are entering the doldrums, that mysterious and legendary belt of water that circles the waste of the earth, a place where the trade winds come to die and the ocean holds its breath. Imagine that the constant rushing sound of the water against the hull begins to fade, quieter and quieter, until it vanishes altogether, replaced by a silence so deep and so heavy that it feels like a soft blanket wrapping around your mind. The wind, which has been your constant companion, your engine, your breath, gently exhales one last time and then retreats, leaving the air perfectly still. Look up at the great masts and see the canvas sails, once tight and round with the power of the breeze, now hanging limp and heavy, folding in on themselves like grand white curtains closing on a stage. The ropes and rigging hang slack, gently swaying with the microscopic movements of the ship, and the wooden blocks knock softly against the masts, a slow, hollow sound that echoes in the quiet, clack, clack, clack.
This is the realm of absolute stillness, a place where time does not just slow down, it seems to stop completely, suspending you in an eternal moment of now. The ocean has undergone a magical transformation. Gone are the rolling swells, gone are the whitecaps, gone is the chop and the spray. In their place, the water has turned into a sheet of liquid glass, a mirror of infinite proportions that stretches out in every direction to the vanishing point. It is a surface so flat, so polished, so unbroken that it reflects the sky with perfect clarity, creating an illusion where you cannot tell where the water ends and the air begins. You are floating in a sphere of blue, a bubble of peace. Walk to the rail and look down, and you will see your own reflection looking back at you, undisturbed by even a ripple. And you will see the reflection of the clouds, great towering cathedrals of white cumulus that sit motionless in the sky, mirrored exactly in the deep abyss below. The sensation is one of flying, of weightlessness, as if the ship has been lifted out of the water and is drifting through the ether. The air is warm here, rich and humid, pressing against your skin like a warm bath, loosening every tight muscle, softening every joint. It is a heat that makes your eyelids heavy, a drowsy, narcotic warmth that whispers to you that there is nothing to do, nothing to fix, nothing to achieve. In the doldrums, waiting is not a chore, it is a state of being. The sailors of old used to dread this calm, but for you, safely journeying in your mind, it is the ultimate gift, a forced pause that allows your nervous system to completely reset. The anxiety of movement is gone, the pressure of progress is gone. The ship is simply drifting with the slow,
invisible currents of the equatorial waters, rotating lazily in circles that are imperceptible to the senses. Imagine lying down on the smooth, sun-warmed planks of the deck, feeling the solid wood beneath your back and looking up at the sky. There is no sound of wind in your ears, only the beating of your own heart, which slows down to match the stillness of the sea. Thump, 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 thump. The world has become a painting, a still life of blue and gold. You can visualize the horizon line dissolving, the sharp edge of the world melting away until everything is soft, everything is blended. This is the 0 point of the earth, the center of balance, and you are right in the middle of it, balanced perfectly between the north and the south, between the past and the future. The stillness is not empty, it is full of presence. It is a heavy, liquid silence that fills up the spaces between your thoughts, slowing down the chatter of the mind until there are long gaps of quiet, in and out. There is no rush to get anywhere. The destination will wait, for now the universe wants you to rest. You watch a single cloud drift imperceptibly across your field of vision, taking an hour to move an inch, and you realize that patience is easy when there is no resistance. You are like the ship, waiting for the wind, but content in the calm. The water around the ship is so clear in this stillness that if you look over the side, you can see shafts of sunlight penetrating deep into the blue, illuminating the dust motes of the ocean, the tiny plankton drifting like stars in the daylight. Sometimes a turtle might surface, breaking the glass for a moment to take a breath, the sound of its exhale loud in the quiet air, before slipping back down, leaving a ring of ripples that slowly widens and disappears, restoring the perfect mirror. As the day passes in this dreamlike trance, the sun begins to lower, and the mirror of the ocean reflects the changing colors of the sky with absolute fidelity. The blue turns to lavender, the lavender to rose, the rose to a burning orange, and the water burns with it, a sea of fire and light that is cool to the touch. The transition to night in the doldrums is a spiritual experience. As the light fades, the distinction between sea and sky is lost completely. The stars do not just appear above you, they appear below you as well, reflecting on the black, glassy surface until you are floating in the center of a galaxy. You are sailing through the stars. The Milky Way is a complete ring around you, a river of light that flows over your head and under your feet. The silence of the night is profound, a vacuum of sound that wraps you in a cocoon of safety.
There is no wave noise, not even a lap against the hull, just the silence of deep space. You feel as though you are the only person left in the universe, but you are not lonely. You are connected to the infinite. The calm seeps into your bones. It feels as if gravity has increased slightly, pulling you deeper into your mattress, pulling you deeper into sleep. The doldrums are nature's meditation hall. You let your thoughts drift like the becalmed ship, without direction, without force, just floating. If a thought comes, it sits still like the limp sails, lacking the wind to move it forward, and eventually it just dissolves into the mist. You are in the eye of the needle, the quietest place on earth. The humidity cools slightly at night, leaving a dew on the rails that glistens in the starlight. You can feel the stillness pressing against your eardrums, a soft pressure that blocks out the noise of the waking world. It is a sanctuary of peace. The ocean is sleeping, and because the ocean is sleeping, you can sleep too. The water is flat, your mind is flat. The water is deep, your sleep will be deep. The world has stopped spinning for you just for tonight. There is no motion to disturb you. There is no wind to chill you. There is only the velvet darkness, the warm air, and the mirror of the sea. You are drifting in the void, a safe and comforting void where dreams are waiting to be born. The doldrums have captured you, not as a prisoner, but as a guest of the silence, a guest of the calm. You feel your breathing slowing down even more, becoming shallow and rhythmic, barely disturbing the air, just as the ship barely disturbs the water. The heavy, slatting sound of the sails has stopped, leaving only the sound of your own peaceful existence. You are motionless, you are heavy, you are relaxed. The stillness of the equator is a blanket that covers you, weighting you down, pressing you gently into the world of dreams. You surrender to the lack of wind. You surrender to the lack of movement. You find joy in the pause. And in this great, beautiful blue silence, you drift, you drift, you drift, resting in the center of the world where the waters are still and the night is long.
The mirror-like surface of the quiet ocean begins to tremble, not from a storm above, but from a power rising from below, a deep and ancient vibration that you feel in the very marrow of your bones before you even see the cause. We are leaving the silence of the doldrums and entering the sacred territory of the giants, the invisible highway known as the whale's path, a route traveled by the largest creatures to ever roam the earth. Imagine that you are looking out over the water, which is now a deep, nutrient-rich green, and suddenly the surface breaks, a massive dark shape emerging from the depths like a rising island, wet and glistening in the sun. It is a whale, a leviathan, perhaps a great sperm whale of the kind that once haunted the dreams of Nantucket sailors, or a majestic blue whale, larger than the ship itself, moving with a grace that defies gravity. In the old days, the cry of "There she blows" would have signaled the beginning of a chase, a time of adrenaline and fear. But tonight, we look upon these creatures with different eyes, eyes of wonder and reverence, seeing them not as commodities of oil and bone, but as the wise elders of the ocean, the keepers of the deep history.
Watch as the giant exhales, a tall vertical column of mist shooting into the air with a loud whooshing sigh. Whoosh! A sound that is the very definition of release. It is the breath of the planet. You can see the rainbow forming in the mist of the spout, a fleeting moment of color before it dissolves back into the wind. The whale rests on the surface, logging as the sailors used to call it, simply floating and recovering its breath, its massive slate-gray back rising and falling with the swell. There is a profound calmness in its presence, a sense of time slowed down to a geological pace. These creatures live for centuries. They have seen the wooden ships turn to iron. They have heard the silence of the pre-industrial ocean and the noise of the modern world. Yet they remain constant, swimming their ancient paths from the feeding grounds of the Arctic to the breeding lagoons of the tropics. Imagine that you can tune into their world, slipping beneath the surface to hear their song. It is a haunting, beautiful melody that vibrates through the heavy water, a complex language of clicks, moans, and deep, resonant bass notes that travel for hundreds of miles, connecting families across the abyss. The sound is physical, a gentle thrumming that massages your tired muscles, loosening the tension in your back and shoulders. Om, low and steady. It is the lullaby of the deep, a song that has been sung for millions of years, long before humans walked upright. You feel a kinship with these beings, realizing that they are mammals like you, breathing air, nursing their young, feeling the bond of family. Picture a mother whale and her calf swimming side by side, their movements perfectly synchronized, a slow-motion ballet of tons of flesh moving effortlessly through the liquid void. The water supports their weight entirely, allowing them to grow to sizes we can barely comprehend. And this feeling of being supported is what you are feeling now in your bed, the mattress holding you up just as the ocean holds the whale. You are weightless. You are buoyant. The whale decides to dive, and this is a moment of pure majesty.
Watch the back arch slowly, a massive curve of muscle and spine, and then the great tail, the fluke, rises up into the air, dripping with water, silhouetted against the sky like a giant fan. It hangs there for a moment, a salute to the world above, before slipping silently beneath the surface without a splash, leaving only a footprint, a smooth, slick circle on the water that lingers long after the creature has gone. You follow the whale in your imagination, diving down, 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 leaving the light of the sun behind and entering the twilight zone of the ocean. The blue turns to indigo, the indigo to black. It is cool here, silent and safe. The pressure of the water acts like a weighted blanket, swaddling you, making you feel secure and contained. The whales are at home in this darkness, navigating by sound and instinct, moving through the canyons and valleys of the ocean floor. You are traveling the whale's path now, a road that has no pavement, only the memory of the water. It is a path of peace, a path of deep, restorative rest. The heartbeat of the whale is slow, only a few beats per minute, distinct and powerful, and your own heart begins to mimic this rhythm, slowing down, conserving energy. Thump, thump, thump. There is no hurry in the deep. Everything happens in slow motion. The giant squid, the drifting jellyfish, the silent sharks, they all move with a deliberate, languid pace. You can visualize the great gray whales migrating along the coast of California, moving steadily south, a procession of pilgrims seeking the warm lagoons of Baja. They do not stop, they do not worry, they just swim, trusting the path,
trusting the seasons. There is a lesson here for you, to trust the flow of your own life, to trust that you are moving in the right direction even when you cannot see the destination. The ocean is vast enough to hold all your worries, big enough to absorb all your fears. The whale's song surrounds you, a cocoon of sound. It is said that the song of the humpback whale can change over time, evolving like a folk tale shared among the pod, and tonight they are singing a song of sleep for you. Listen to the creaking, groaning sounds, like the door of a heavy vault closing, shutting out the waking world. Listen to the high-pitched whistles that drift away into the distance, like falling stars. You are swimming alongside them, a phantom diver, protected by their bulk. The skin of the whale is rough with barnacles, a living map of its travels, scars and scratches that tell the story of a life lived in the wild. You appreciate their resilience. You appreciate their quiet power. The history of whaling is now just a shadow, a memory of a time when we did not understand, but now we know, and now we watch with love. The ocean has forgiven the past. The water has washed it clean. The whales have returned, reclaiming their kingdom. As you drift deeper into this underwater visualization, you feel a sense of heaviness in your limbs, a pleasant, sinking sensation. You are sinking deeper into the mattress, deeper into the pillow. The water is dark and velvety, caressing your skin. You are safe in the pod. You are one of them.
The great flukes propel you forward with a gentle, rhythmic push. Push and glide. Push and glide. The momentum is effortless. You are gliding through the sea of dreams. The light from the surface is just a faint memory now, a distant star above, while down here, in the comfort of the deep, there is only the feeling of suspension. You are held. You are carried. The whale's path leads to the very bottom of the ocean, to the soft, sandy floor where all is still, where the currents are gentle, where the silence is absolute. This is where the giants rest, hovering in the water, half asleep, one eye open, dreaming with half a brain while the other rests. You can learn this art of resting. You can shut down the parts of your mind that are working too hard. You can let the thoughts float away like bubbles rising to the surface, popping and disappearing, leaving you in the quiet below. The giant body of the whale acts as a shield against the noise of the world. Nothing can disturb you here. The water is a buffer, a thick wall of peace. You feel the vibrations of the whale's purr in your chest, a sonic massage that reaches the deepest tension and dissolves it. The majestic movements of these creatures have hypnotized you. Their slow rhythm has become your rhythm. You are breathing with the whale. Inhale, hold. Exhale, hold. Long, slow breaths that oxygenate your blood and calm your nerves. The giants of the deep are your guardians tonight. They are escorting you through the gates of sleep. The path is clear. The water is warm. The journey is safe. You are drifting along the whale's path, following the ancient call, following the instinct to rest, following the giants into the deep, dark, peaceful abyss of sleep. Down, down, down you go, drifting with the giants, sleeping with the giants, at peace in the deep blue home of the soul.
We turn our faces now away from the gray Atlantic and the history of the old world, letting our spirits soar across the great continental divide, flying over the mountains and the deserts until we reach the edge of the golden land, the west coast of America, where the cliffs fall away into the greatest body of water on our planet, the mighty Pacific. If the Atlantic is a story of history and struggle, the Pacific is a story of space and infinity, a vast, breathing entity that covers almost half of our globe. And as you stand on the warm sands of a California beach or the rugged headlands of Oregon, looking west, you are looking at the true face of eternity. The name itself, Mar Pacifico, given by the explorer Magellan, means the peaceful sea. And tonight, that peace is yours to claim, a peace that is as wide and as deep as the water before you. Imagine the sheer scale of this ocean. It is so large that it could hold all the continents of the earth within its basin and still have room to spare. A thought that is not frightening, but incredibly liberating, for it reminds you that your problems, your worries, your to-do lists are microscopic specks against this backdrop of endless blue. Allow your mind to expand, stretching out like the horizon, reaching further and further until the boundaries of your stress simply dissolve into the distance. The light here is different. It is softer, hazier, a golden glow that bathes the world in a dreamlike quality, filtering through the salty moisture of the air to create a pastel masterpiece of sky and sea. You are stepping off the land now, boarding a vessel of the imagination that is sailing straight into the sunset, leaving the solid earth behind to float in the center of the blue. The color of the Pacific is unique, a vibrant electric cobalt that deepens to a rich royal purple in the trenches, a color that seems to hum with energy and life. As you drift further west, moving away from the cold currents of the coast and into the tropical heart of the ocean, the air begins to change, softening, warming, becoming a caress against your cheek. Breathe in deeply. Can you smell it? There is the familiar tang of the salt and the iodine, the clean scent of the open water, but underneath that, carried on the gentle trade winds from thousands of miles away, is the faint, sweet perfume of the islands, the ghost of hibiscus and frangipani, a floral note that promises paradise. It is the smell of summer, the smell of relaxation, the smell of a place where winter never comes. The water here moves differently too. The swells are longer, deeper, more rhythmic, rolling across thousands of miles of open space without hitting any obstacles, gathering momentum and grace until they gently lift your ship and lower it in a slow, hypnotic cadence that is the very definition of sleep. Rise and fall, rise and fall.
It is a motion that rocks the soul. You are surrounded by space, endless, glorious space, 360 degrees of open horizon where the water meets the sky in a seamless line of azure. There is no clutter here, no buildings, no traffic, no noise, just the purity of the elements. You feel the warmth of the tropical sun penetrating your skin, relaxing the muscles of your neck, your shoulders, your back, melting away the stiffness of the day like butter in a warm pan. The sun is not harsh, it is a benevolent presence, a golden coin rolling across the blue carpet of the sky. You can take off your shoes in your mind, feeling the phantom warmth of a teak deck beneath your feet, or the softness of a white sand beach that waits for you on a distant shore. The Pacific is a place of healing. Its vastness acts as a vacuum that pulls the tension out of your body and scatters it to the winds. You are small here, but you are not insignificant. You are a part of this great blue miracle, a speck of consciousness floating in a universe of water. The silence of the Pacific is different from the silence of the Atlantic. It is a spacious silence, a silence that has room for your dreams. Listen to the wind sighing through the rigging, a soft shh that mimics the sound of a mother soothing a child. Listen to the water parting at the bow, a gentle splashing that sounds like music. You are traveling towards the international dateline, traveling towards tomorrow,
but resting in today. The concept of time loses its meaning in this infinite blue. Is it morning? Is it evening? It does not matter. There is only the blue. The deep, resonant blue that fills your vision and calms your nervous system. Blue is the color of the throat chakra, the color of communication and truth, but it is also the color of rest, the color that slows the heart rate and lowers blood pressure. Let the color wash over you. Let it dye your thoughts in shades of indigo and turquoise. You are floating in a giant sensory deprivation tank, but instead of darkness, you are held by the light and the water. As the day progresses, the sun begins its long descent toward the western rim of the world, and the Pacific puts on its greatest show. The sky turns into a riot of colors, blazing oranges, burning reds, soft pinks, and bruised purples, reflecting on the water until the ocean looks like a sea of liquid fire, cooling slowly into the night. This is the magic hour of the West Coast, extended out over the open water. You watch the sun touch the horizon, changing shape, flattening into a disk, and then slipping inch by inch into the sea, extinguishing the day. And if you are lucky, if you are relaxed enough, you might catch the green flash, that split-second pulse of emerald light that happens the moment the sun disappears, a wink from the universe telling you that magic is real. Then the blue returns, but darker now, a navy velvet that wraps around the world. The stars over the Pacific seem brighter, sharper, because the air is so clean and stable. The Southern Cross might peek over the horizon if you were far enough south, a new constellation to guide your dreams. The air remains warm. The smell of the hibiscus grows slightly stronger in the cooling night, a sweet promise of land that is still days away, but you are in no rush to reach it. The journey is the destination.
The floating is the goal. You are safe in the middle of the largest emptiness on Earth, protected by the sheer distance from anything that could trouble you. The Pacific is a barrier of peace that nothing can cross without your permission. You feel a sense of expansion in your chest, your breath becoming deeper and fuller, filling the lower lobes of your lungs. You are breathing in the horizon. You are exhaling the confinement of the land. The gentle rocking continues, never stopping, never changing, a constant comfort that tells your brain it is safe to shut down. The ship is a tiny speck of wood and warmth in a cosmos of water, and that isolation is your sanctuary. You are hidden, you are secret, you are asleep. The water is deep, miles deep beneath your keel, a vast cushion of liquid that absorbs all shock, all noise. You are floating on top of this depth, supported by the density of the salt water. The Pacific's infinite blue has entered your mind, clearing out the clutter, washing away the dust of the day, leaving only a clean, open space for sleep to enter. It is a blue that is kind, a blue that is soft, a blue that goes on forever. You can travel in your mind for 1,000 miles in any direction and find only this peace, this water, this sky. There is no end to it, just as there is no end to the relaxation you are feeling now. Deeper and deeper you go, drifting west, drifting into the sunset, drifting into the night. The smell of the salt and the flower sweetens your dreams. The warmth of the air holds you. The size of the ocean humbles and comforts you. You are one with the Pacific. You are one with the peace. You are one with the blue. Resting now in the arms of the infinite, where the waves roll on forever and the sleep is as deep as the sea.
The surface of the ocean is a place of wind and waves and weather. But now we are going to leave all of that behind, slipping quietly beneath the waterline to enter a hidden universe that exists in a state of eternal peace. Imagine that you are slowly descending, sinking effortlessly through the warm, clear blue, and as the water closes over your head,
the noise of the world above is instantly cut off, replaced by a profound and heavy silence. This is not the silence of emptiness, but the silence of fullness, a muffled, cotton-like quiet where sound travels slowly and every sensation is softened by the density of the liquid surrounding you. You are weightless now, free from the pull of gravity that has held you down all day, floating in a state of perfect suspension, like an astronaut in deep space, but held in a warm turquoise embrace. Open your eyes in this safe underwater dream and look around you at the treasures of the abyss, a landscape that is more beautiful and more serene than anything on land. You are drifting over a magnificent coral reef, a sprawling underwater city built by tiny architects over thousands of years, a garden of stone and life that stretches out in every direction. The colors here are mesmerizing, filtered by the water until they become pastel and dreamlike, soft pinks, vibrant purples, deep emerald greens, and the shocking bright orange of the sponges. The light from the sun above filters down in shimmering shafts, dancing beams of gold that pierce the blue and illuminate the sandy floor, creating a hypnotic pattern of light and shadow that ripples across the bottom. Watch the slow-motion life of the fish as they glide through this liquid atmosphere. They do not hurry, they do not rush, they simply flow. A school of silver fish moves together as one mind, flashing in the light, turning and swirling like a ribbon of mercury, their movements synchronized and silent. You can see the gentle waving of the sea fans and the anemones swaying back and forth with the subtle rhythm of the currents, a dance that has been going on for eons. It is a world of curves and softness. There are no sharp edges here. Everything has been smoothed by the water. As you drift deeper, exploring this silent world, you come across the true treasures of history, the secrets that the ocean has claimed and protected. Imagine a sunken statue, perhaps a marble figure from an ancient merchant ship that found its rest here centuries ago. The statue is lying on its side in the white sand, half buried, but it is no longer just stone. It has become part of the reef, covered in soft velvet moss and tiny barnacles, a new home for the creatures of the deep. It is a poignant reminder that nature claims everything in the end, turning the works of man into works of art. There is no sadness in this ruin, only a sense of peace and integration. The statue sleeps, and you sleep with it. Nearby, the ribs of an old wooden ship rise from the seabed like the skeleton of a great whale, the timber softened and smoothed, providing shelter for a shy octopus or a resting sea turtle. You float through these ruins like a ghost, an observer of the stillness.
The water presses against your skin with a gentle, uniform pressure, a sensation that is incredibly grounding, like being wrapped in a heavy, weighted blanket that squeezes the tension out of your body. This phenomenon is known as the diving reflex, where the body naturally slows down when submerged in water. The heart rate drops, the blood pressure lowers, and the mind enters a meditative state. You are experiencing this now, your body remembering its aquatic origins. The muffled silence is the most healing part of this journey. There are no phones ringing here, no voices demanding your attention, just the rhythmic sound of your own slow breathing, magnified by the water. In and out, bubbling and soothing. The world above simply disappears. It ceases to exist, leaving you in this private sanctuary. You watch a large grouper fish hanging motionless in the water, its gills pulsing slowly, staring at you with large, unblinking eyes that hold the wisdom of the deep. It is a master of energy conservation, hovering without effort, and you mimic this stillness. You let your arms and legs float freely, supported entirely by the salt water. You are lighter than air,
heavier than water, perfectly balanced. The deeper you go, the darker the blue becomes, shifting from the bright azure of the surface to a deep, rich royal blue, a color that signals the brain to produce melatonin, the hormone of sleep. This twilight zone of the ocean is a place of shadows and secrets, where the light is dim and comforting. You might see the faint glow of bioluminescence beginning to sparkle in the darker corners of the reef, tiny lights that turn on as the sun fades, a starry night within the ocean itself. The silence is thick, tangible. You can feel the water moving against your skin as you glide, a silky, cool sensation that refreshes and calms. The treasures of the abyss are not gold or silver. They are the moments of stillness, the beauty of the untouched world. You are exploring the basement of the world, the foundation upon which everything else rests. The sand on the ocean floor is rippled, marked by the currents, looking like a Zen garden raked into perfect lines. You settle down onto this soft, sandy bottom, feeling the fine grains beneath you, and you look up toward the surface, seeing the distant shimmering roof of the world, so far away, so removed from your reality. You are safe here in the deep. The water acts as a shield, a buffer zone that protects you.
The slow movement of the kelp forests, rising like tall green trees toward the light, creates a hypnotic swaying motion that lulls you deeper into trance. Back and forth, the ocean breathes. You are breathing with the ocean. You are part of the silent world. The fish pay you no mind. They accept you as part of the environment, and this acceptance makes you feel belonging, makes you feel home. The concept of time is washed away by the currents. There is no clock on the reef, only the cycles of the tides and the light. You have all the time in the world to rest. You can stay here as long as you like, floating among the coral and the statues, watching the play of light on the water. The deeper you sink into this visualization, the heavier your eyelids become in reality. The muffled quality of the sound creates a white noise effect, a soft, static hum that blocks out any distraction. It is the sound of blood rushing in your ears, the sound of life itself. You are a diver of the mind, and you have found the ultimate treasure, the treasure of deep, uninterrupted sleep. The coral reef is a lullaby of color and motion. The sunken history is a bedtime story of time and patience. The water is a blanket of blue. You are encased in comfort. You are submerged in peace. Everything is slow. Everything is quiet. Everything is soft. The fish drift. The weeds sway. The sand settles. You are settling too. Settling into the mattress. Settling into the pillow. Settling into the deep. The silent world is wrapping its arms around you, holding you close, whispering to you in the language of bubbles and currents. Sleep, it says. Sleep in the deep. Sleep in the silence. The world above is gone. Only the ocean remains. Only the peace remains. Drifting, floating, sleeping amidst the treasures of the abyss.
We leave the silent, sunken world of the reef now and rise back to the surface, breaking through the water to find ourselves standing on the steel deck of a great naval vessel, a gray guardian moving steadily through the velvet night. We have entered the time of the middle watch, that quiet and sacred stretch of hours between midnight and 4 in the morning when the world is at its darkest and the human spirit is most reflective. Imagine that you are a sailor on this ship, perhaps a destroyer or a cruiser from a bygone era, wrapped tightly in a thick, heavy wool peacoat that shields you completely from the damp ocean air, the collar turned up against the back of your neck, creating a warm and personal shelter. The ship is a sleeping city, a floating metal island where hundreds of your shipmates are resting in their bunks below, swaying gently in their hammocks or berths, trusting you, trusting the watch, trusting the eyes that scan the horizon so that they can drift into the deepest of dreams. There is a profound sense of purpose in this solitude, a feeling of vigilance, which is not a state of anxiety, but a state of calm, disciplined awareness. You are standing on the wing of the bridge, holding a pair of heavy binoculars, resting your elbows on the rail, and looking out at the endless expanse of the dark ocean. The only light comes from the moon, which hangs high and full in the sky, casting a long, shimmering path of silver light across the black water, a road of mercury that stretches from the ship's hull all the way to the edge of the universe. This moon glade is hypnotic, the light dancing on the crests of the small waves, appearing and disappearing, a sparkling code that tires the eyes in the most pleasant way. The ship itself is dark, darkened ship, they call it, with no white lights showing to spoil the night vision, only the soft, dim glow of red instrument lights inside the bridge, casting a warm, womb-like hue on the faces of the helmsman and the officer of the deck. The silence here is different from the silence of the deep. It is a mechanical silence, underpinned by the low, constant, rhythmic vibration of the engines deep within the bowels of the ship. Feel that vibration now, traveling up through the steel decks, up through the soles of your boots, a steady hum that resonates in your bones, a sound of power and reliability that tells you the heart of the ship is beating, that you are moving, that you are safe. It is a white noise that drowns out the chaos of the mind, a drone that works like a powerful sedative.
You can hear the water rushing past the hull, a hissing, churning sound as the steel bow cuts through the sea, pushing the ocean aside with an unstoppable force. Shh, shh. It is the sound of progress, the sound of a journey that never stops. On the middle watch, the conversations are few and whispered, short sentences spoken between shipmates who share the bond of the night, their voices low and gravelly, quickly swallowed by the wind. You take a sip from a thick ceramic mug of coffee, the heat spreading through your chest, a small comfort in the cool night. You are part of a long lineage of sailors, from the Continental Navy of the Revolution to the Great White Fleet to the modern sailors of today, all of whom have stood this same watch, looking at this same moon, feeling this same mixture of loneliness and connection. The discipline of the Navy provides a structure for relaxation. You know exactly where you need to be, you know exactly what you need to do, and this clarity removes all indecision from your mind. There is a comfort in the routine, in the logbook entries made every hour, in the changing of the helm, a ritualistic dance of duty that lulls the brain. You look aft toward the fantail of the ship and see the wake, a churning white river of phosphorescence that glows green and white in the darkness, trailing behind the ship like a bridal train, marking where you have been. The wake fades into the darkness, just as the past fades into memory, leaving only the present moment. The sea is calm tonight, the ship rolling with a slow, heavy grace, a motion that is dampened by the sheer weight of the steel, making it feel solid and secure. You are riding on a fortress. The guns are silent, capped and sleeping. The radar spins silently on the mast, a sweeping arm that watches the world with electronic eyes, seeing what you cannot see, allowing you to relax your own vigilance just a fraction. You are the guardian of sleep.
Think of the men and women below decks, thousands of them, their breathing synchronized with the roll of the ship, a collective unconsciousness that you are protecting. Because you are awake, they can sleep. And because the ship is watching, you, the listener, can sleep too. You can let go of your own need to be vigilant, let go of your own need to watch the door, because the naval watch is set, the guard is posted, and the perimeter is secure. The ocean stretches out for 1,000 miles in every direction, empty and peaceful. There are no other ships, no lights, just the vast, cleansing emptiness of the sea. The air is crisp and salty, scrubbing your lungs, making your eyes water slightly, making you want to close them and just listen. Listen to the wind snapping the flag on the halyard. Snap, 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 snap. Listen to the hum of the ventilation fans. Listen to the rhythmic creaking of the steel as the ship flexes. It is an industrial symphony of sleep. The moon moves slowly across the sky, marking the passage of the watch. 0100, 0200, 0300. Time is fluid here, measured in bells.
Ding ding, ding ding. The sound of the ship's bell is clear and sharp, cutting through the wind, a reminder that all is well. All's well, the lookout cries. And it is, all is well. You feel a heavy, sweet fatigue settling into your muscles, a desire to lean your head against the cool steel of the bulkhead and drift off. The discipline of the sailor keeps you upright, but your spirit is already lying down. You imagine the moment when your relief will come, when the next watchstander will tap you on the shoulder and say, "I have the watch," and you will be free to go below, to climb into your warm, narrow bunk, to pull the wool blanket up to your chin, and to let the motion of the ship rock you into oblivion. But for now, you are content to be the watcher. You find peace in the duty. You find peace in the dark. The horizon is a blur of gray and black. The stars are hard and bright, military precision in the sky. The sea is a flat, dark plain. You are the sentinel. You are the protector. And in this protection, there is a deep, abiding peace. The vigilance of the watch allows the peace of the sleep. You breathe in the night. You exhale the day. The turbines hum. The water rushes. The flag snaps. The moon shines. Everything is in its place. Everything is operating as it should. There is no chaos here, only order. Order and calm. The might of the ship is your blanket. The tradition of the sea is your pillow. You are safe. You are secure. You are watching the moon reflect on the dark water, and the reflection is mesmerizing, a silver coin on a black velvet cloth. It draws your eyes down, heavying the lids. The watch is almost over. The peace is just beginning. The ship sails on, a silent ghost in the night, carrying its cargo of dreams safely to the morning. You are part of the ship. You are part of the ocean. You are part of the peace. Vigilance has turned into rest. Duty has turned into dreams. The night wraps around you, a coat of darkness, warm and safe. The watch stands. The ship sleeps. And now, so do you. As the ship sails on through the quiet night and the watchman holds his vigil, we lift our awareness from the deck of the vessel and expand it outward, moving beyond the steel and the wood, beyond the surface of the water, to contemplate the invisible and ancient force that governs the motion of the deep, the celestial heartbeat of our planet known as the rhythm of the tides. High above the sleeping ocean, the moon hangs like a pearl in the velvet sky, a silent witness to the history of the world. But it is not merely a light in the darkness, it is a heavy and powerful presence, a celestial magnet that is forever locked in a slow, romantic dance with the earth. Imagine now that you can see the invisible threads of gravity, like silver strings stretching down from the craters of the moon, reaching across the vacuum of space, penetrating the atmosphere, and gently grasping the surface of the ocean.
This is the science of the tides. But tonight, it feels less like physics and more like poetry, a story of longing and attraction that has been playing out for billions of years. The moon pulls at the water, calling to it, and the water answers, rising up from the deep basins, swelling outward to meet its partner, creating a massive bulge of water that travels across the face of the globe. It is a wave that never breaks, a wave that is thousands of miles wide, moving silently and relentlessly across the planet. Close your eyes and feel this pull within your own body, for you too are made of water. You too are subject to the same laws of nature that move the seas. There is a comfort in this connection, a realization that you are not separate from the universe, but a part of its great rhythmic breathing, in and out, rise and fall, ebb and flow. The cycle is perfect, predictable, and eternal. Think of the rugged coastline of Maine or the soft, marshy inlets of Georgia, where the tide creeps in inch by inch, covering the mudflats, filling the tidal pools, lifting the boats off the sand. It happens slowly, so slowly that if you watch it, you can barely see the motion, yet it is unstoppable. The water climbs the wooden pilings of the pier, swallowing the barnacles one by one, higher and higher, until the ocean is full, a state of abundance and completion known as high tide. This is the inhalation of the earth. The world is taking a deep breath, holding the water high against the land, pausing for a moment in the stillness of slack tide, that magical pause when the water stops moving before it turns to go back out. Visualize that pause now, a moment of total equilibrium, a moment where everything is balanced, just as you are balanced between waking and sleeping. And then the release. The moon releases its grip, or rather the earth spins away, and the water begins to recede, sliding back into the deep, revealing the secrets of the shore once more. This is the exhalation, the long, slow sigh of the planet letting go. Let your own breath mimic this retreating tide, exhaling fully, letting the air leave your lungs, letting the tension leave your muscles, letting the thoughts leave your mind. The tide takes everything with it, carrying the driftwood, the seaweed, and the footprints on the sand back into the cleansing embrace of the ocean.
The rhythm of the tides is the ultimate sleep aid, because it is the oldest rhythm on Earth, a pulse that beat before the first heart ever beat. It is a clock made of water and gravity. Imagine the Bay of Fundy, where the tides are the highest in the world, a massive volume of water rushing in and rushing out with the power of 1,000 rivers, yet doing so with a disciplined regularity that you can set your watch by. There is safety in this predictability. In a chaotic world, the tides are a constant, a promise that the water will always return, that the cycle will always continue. You can trust the tides. You can trust the moon. You can trust the night. The gravitational pull is a gentle sensation, like a heavy blanket being pulled up over your shoulders, weighing you down, pressing you into the mattress. You are being pulled into sleep, drawn by the gravity of your own need for rest. The water of the ocean creates a friction against the ocean floor as the tides move, a subtle drag that actually slows down the rotation of the Earth by a fraction of a second every century, lengthening our days, giving us more time to rest. The tides are literally slowing down time. Let that thought soothe you. Time is slowing down. The urgency is fading. There is only the water, rising and falling. Imagine the sound of the tide on a quiet night, the soft lapping of the water against the hull of a boat. Lap, 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 lap. Or the gentle hush of the water sliding over the pebbles on a beach. Shh, shh. It is a white noise that speaks directly to the subconscious. The science tells us that the sun also plays a part, adding its own gravity to the mix, creating the spring tides and the neap tides, a complex interplay of celestial bodies. But for you, the sleeper, it is simply a cradle. The earth is the cradle, rocking back and forth in the arms of the moon. You are the child in the cradle. The ocean is the blanket. The night is the song. The repetitive nature of the tides is hypnotic, forcing the brain to synchronize with the slower frequency. One wave follows another. One tide follows another. Never skipping a beat, never rushing, never lagging. It is the definition of patience. You can learn from the ocean. You can learn to let your emotions rise and fall like the tide without holding on to them. Let the anger come in. Let the anger go out. Let the worry come in. Let the worry go out. You are the shore, solid and stable, watching the water move. The moon shines down on the dark Atlantic, creating that pathway of light we saw earlier. But now we understand that the light is also a leash, a bond that holds the water in place. The ocean is wild, but it is not out of control. It is governed by the gentle laws of the cosmos. As you lie there, imagine the water level rising in your own consciousness, a warm blue tide of relaxation filling your toes, your ankles, your knees, rising up your legs, heavy and warm, filling your hips, your stomach, your chest. It is a flood tide of peace, submerging you in comfort. It rises to your neck, your face, covering your eyes with a cool, soothing darkness. You are underwater now, in the best possible way, suspended in the fluid of sleep. The tide has come in fully. You are full of peace. You are full of rest. And as the tide begins to turn, dragging the waters back out to the deep, you feel it pulling your consciousness with it, pulling you away from the shore of the waking world, pulling you out into the vast, dreamless expanse of the deep ocean. The connection is complete. The moon watches you. The water holds you. The gravity grounds you. The rhythm is slow, so very slow, up and down, in and out. The pilings of the pier are wet and dark, marking the height of the water. The sand is smooth and clean. The world is washed new. The cycle of the tides is a cycle of renewal. Every 12 hours the world is cleaned. Every 12 hours the world is refreshed. Your sleep is your tidal cycle, a time to wash away the toxins of the day, a time to renew your spirit. Give in to the pull. Do not fight the current. Let the tide take you. You are drifting on the ebb tide now, floating effortlessly toward the horizon, carried by the invisible river of the sea. The moon smiles down, its work done. The water obeys. The night deepens. The silence grows. You are part of the rhythm. You are part of the flow. The ocean is breathing you. The universe is holding you. Sleep is the tide that covers all. And you are sleeping. You are sleeping. You are sleeping. The long and winding voyage across the vast oceans of the world is finally drawing to a close. The endless horizon of blue has given way to the familiar shapes of the land, and as the ship moves slowly through the darkness, guided by the faithful beam of the lighthouse we passed so long ago, we are entering the final sanctuary, the safety of the harbor.
Imagine the feeling of profound relief that washes over you as the ship passes the breakwater, that strong stone arm that reaches out from the land to hold back the waves, creating a boundary between the wildness of the open sea and the calmness of the port. The moment the bow passes that line, the movement changes instantly. The rolling swells that have rocked you for days and nights simply vanish, replaced by a water so flat and so still it feels like the ship is gliding on a sheet of black ice. You are drifting into the harbor at night, a time when the town on the hill is asleep, its windows dark save for a few amber street lamps that cast long, wavering reflections on the water, painting the surface with stripes of gold. The wind, which has been your constant companion, singing in the rigging and pushing the canvas, is blocked now by the hills, leaving the air still and quiet, filled with the scent of the land, the smell of damp earth, pine trees, and the faint, comforting smoke of a chimney. The ship glides forward on its own momentum, slowing down, slower and slower, the sound of the water against the hull turning from a rush into a whisper. Hush, hush, hush. You are standing on the deck, your bags packed in your mind, your worries left behind in the deep trenches of the ocean, feeling a sense of completion that settles deep in your chest. The journey is over. You have survived the storms, you have navigated the stars, you have crossed the equator, and now you have arrived. Listen to the sounds of the harbor at night, the gentle clanging of a bell buoy in the distance, a lonely, rhythmic tolling that marks the channel, the soft creaking of other boats tied to their moorings, rocking almost imperceptibly in the calm water. It is a community of sleepers, a gathering of vessels resting after their travels, and you are joining them. The crew moves silently, their work done, their movements slow and reverent as they prepare to stop the ship for the last time. They furl the great white sails, gathering the canvas in, folding the wings of the bird, and the ship feels heavier now, more settled, more solid. You feel the vibration of the engine cut out, the heart of the ship stopping, leaving a sudden ringing silence that is louder than any noise. In this silence, you can hear your own breath, slow and steady, matching the stillness of the night. And then the final act of the voyage occurs, the dropping of the anchor. Watch in your mind as the heavy iron fluke is lowered, slipping beneath the black water, descending through the depths until it touches the soft, sandy bottom of the harbor floor. It digs in, holding fast, connecting the floating ship to the solid earth once again. You feel a slight shudder run through the deck as the chain pulls tight, and then nothing. The motion stops. The ship is held. The drifting is over. This cessation of movement is the most powerful signal your brain can receive. A signal that says you are safe, you are tethered, you are home. The body, which has been compensating for the roll of the sea for so long, can finally let go of its vigilance. You feel the muscles in your legs relaxing, the tension in your back dissolving, the grip of your hands softening. You are no longer a voyager, you are a resident of the harbor. You imagine walking down the gangway, stepping off the floating world, and planting your feet on the solid wood of the dock, feeling the stability of the ground beneath you, a stability that travels up your spine and tells you that you can rest now. The harbor is a place of protection, a womb of wood and stone where the ocean cannot reach you. The water here gently laps against the pilings, a soft, rhythmic slapping sound that is the heartbeat of the home. Slap, 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 slap. It is the sound of safety. You walk slowly along the dock in the moonlight, breathing in the cool, still air, heading towards a warm, lighted window in the distance, your own personal sanctuary. But even before you reach it, you realize that the ship itself was the destination, that the sleep you have been seeking is right here, right now. The narrative of the ocean has been told. The 13 chapters are finished. The 13,000 words have been spoken, and they have built a bridge for you. A bridge from the waking world to the world of dreams. You are crossing that bridge now. The memories of the eternal shoreline, the shadows on the horizon, the map of the stars, the whales and the tides, they all blend together into a soft watercolor painting in your mind, a beautiful blur of blue and gold. You are lying down now, not on a ship, but in your own bed, which feels as soft as a cloud, as supportive as the deep water. The room around you is your harbor.
The walls are your breakwater. You are safe from the storms of life. The anchor is down. You are not going anywhere. You do not need to steer. You do not need to watch. You do not need to worry. The captain of the universe has taken the wheel, and he has steered you into the slip of deep sleep. Everything is still. The only movement is the gentle rise and fall of your chest, a tiny tide within yourself. Rise and fall, rise and fall. The light of the lighthouse sweeps one last time across your closed eyelids, a final blessing, and then goes out, leaving you in the comforting velvet darkness. You feel a heaviness pressing down on your body, a pleasant gravity that sinks you deeper into the mattress. It is the accumulated fatigue of the journey, a sweet tiredness that feels like a warm blanket. You are drifting, not across the ocean, but down into the depths of consciousness. The sounds of the harbor fade away, the bell buoy becomes a distant memory, the creak of the wood disappears, leaving only the sound of silence. A profound, empty, peaceful silence. You are floating in the harbor of dreams. The water is still, the wind is gone, the stars are watching. You are safe, you are home, you are asleep. The voyage is done, the book is closed, the ocean rests, and so do you, deeply, completely, finally. Sleep, sleep, sleep.